Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to the garage. Today I'm going to get on that KLR 650. I want to see if it starts or if it runs. I'm going to attempt to install the battery. I have to clean out the airbox and get the front wheel bearings checked, steering bearings, and that front caliper checked, and then bleed the front brake system. So I got quite a bit to do today. Let's get started. All right, I don't know if I told you this on the first video, but this airbox, while this bike was sitting around and not being used, got invaded by a bunch of mice. So the mice made a home inside this airbox. The air filter got chewed up. There's a metal piece that goes inside this airbox, and it's totally destroyed by the mice. So with the pair of pliers, I'm gonna rip whatever's left out of the airbox, because I'm afraid, I wouldn't want it to get sucked into the engine. So you can see, this is what's left of the screen that's in the airbox. It's all rusted and it's all pretty much gone. There's nothing left of this. And there's a couple of what looks like nest sections in here. I'm gonna have to try to see if I can get it out of there. And there is one piece. Looks like there's some more pieces in there. All right, and there's the other piece. Now there's a bunch of stuff in here that I'm gonna have to try to vacuum out. And also in the back side of the airbox, I have a way to get in there. I'll show you that little modified tool that I made. Since I cannot get in the back side of the airbox with this, I'm going to use I think this is a 1/2 inch tube. So I'm going to put that inside here. And then I'm going to use that to go into the back of the box. Now, I think I pretty much have everything cleaned out really good. The screen that I pulled out, it goes in this area here on the inside of the airbox. And that basically just prevents anything from getting sucked into the carburetor / engine. I would have to replace the whole airbox, which is about $300. I'm not going to do that. Maybe I can make a screen that'll fit in here. But right now, I'm thinking I'm just going to leave it like it is. We'll see when I get to that point. He did have the airbox cover, but it's missing the gasket. I'll have to order that. And I have to order the cage for the foam filter. All right, time to take a look in the tank. A quick look inside the tank. There is no rust buildup. It is bone dry. Got about a gallon of fuel to the tank, more or less. And I'm going to add lacquer thinner. Added 2 gallons of super unleaded gasoline and approximately 1/2 of a gallon of lacquer thinner. Now, I've used lacquer thinner in all my vehicles in the past with good results. The purpose of the lacquer thinner is kind of like fuel system cleaner. Hopefully that carburetor is not completely clogged, and it'll allow this fuel to go through there and clean out any varnish that may be built up inside there. This is the new battery. What I like to do before I put the batteries in the vehicles, I like to give them a quick charge with my battery charger just to make sure they are fully charged. Go ahead and clean up these terminals. as good as we can get them. Going to install the positive cable first. Now we will install the negative cable. Now, the moment of truth. All right. Everything turns on. Turn the fuel on. Transmission's at neutral. Here goes nothing. No! It's running. It's a good sign. It's got a slight hesitation on the acceleration. Now that could be two things. It could be that the carburetor is still a bit clogged up, or because the air filter is not in place. It could be getting a little more air than it should be, and that would also cause it. If there is anything inside that carburetor that needs to be cleaned out, I believe the lacquer thinner will clean out that carburetor. Again, that's what I do, so you do what you want to do. Some guys use fuel system cleaner. I use lacquer thinner. I'm going to go ahead and check the front wheel, check the steering bearings. Even though this bike only has 5,000 miles, I want to make sure that everything's good to go. Don't want you to have any surprises while I'm on the road. To check your steering bearings, it's just a matter of grab your forks, see if there's any movement in the bearing. And you also want to turn your steering all the way to the right and then to the left. And see if it binds up in any spots. Yeah, and these feel really good. I'm gonna check the front wheel bearings. Pretty much same thing. See if there's any play in that front wheel. We're gonna spin it. See if we feel any grinding or anything coming from the bearings. All right, a good trick to see if your bearings are making noises. Put a screwdriver up against the part of the hub that doesn't spin, and then put your ear against the handle of the screwdriver, and you'll be able to hear if it doesn't make any weird noises. Same thing on this side. Wow, those bearings are really good, man. They're not making any noise whatsoever. I am going to check the spokes to see if we have any loose spokes. I'm going to take my screwdriver and I'm just going to lightly tap each spoke. And if there is a loose spoke, it'll give you like a dull sound. All right, that sounds good. I'm gonna go check the other side. All right, they all sound good. If they all sound the same, you pretty much know you do not have a loose spoke. if you did have a loose spoke, you would hear a sound difference. So this wheel checks out pretty good. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove this caliper, check the brake pads, and then clean it all up. Wow. All right, now that we've got these two slide pins that hold the pads in place, now that I got those loose, I'll take the caliper off. All right, now that we get the caliper out, we can pull these slide pins. Okay, now we can take off one pad. We can clearly inspect it, and that looks good. It actually looks like a brand new pad almost. Now the bracket can be slid right off the caliper. That's going to need some new grease. It's going to need to be cleaned up and greased. And this caliper is going to need quite a bit of cleaning. And this is the other pad. Yeah, it looks good. Looks like brand new pads. Alright, clean up these pistons really well. Get all this dirt and whatever's on these things off of here. Grease. Let's get the brake pad back in there. Okay, we're going to put this back onto the rotor and then get our bolts back on. Since we're here, we might as well bleed the front brake. Now that I get the cover off, I'm going to go ahead and just suck up all that brake fluid out of there. I'm going to take a rag and just wipe it up as best as we can. The Kawasaki KLR calls for .3 or .4. I'm using what's called Super .4. It's got a higher boiling point. Now that the brake fluid's in there, we go ahead and we pump up our brake 3 or 4 times till we get a good brake. Now that we got a good brake, go ahead and hold the pressure on the brake handle. Open up the bleeder valve. Once the brake lever stops moving, close the bleeder valve. And then you can pump the brake lever 2 or 3 times till you get a good brake lever. Hold the pressure and open the bleeder valve. Close it. And then repeat. And you keep doing that until you get all the air and old fluid out of the brake system. Very important to check your master cylinder after opening the bleeder a few times so you don't run out of fluid. Make sure you don't overfill your master cylinder, because when you do, it'll overflow on you. If it happens to overflow on you, don't worry, a little soap and water will remove brake fluid off of the parts. Looking at the tire, it looks like I'm gonna have to replace the tires. See all that dry rot right there? Does not look good. You don't want to be riding a motorcycle with dry rot all over the tire. So we'll have to order some tires for this bike. After a hard day's work, it's time to clean up, put my tools away. Oh yeah. It's been a great day in the garage today. Started the bike up. It runs pretty decent for a bike that's been sitting for years. Once I get the parts for the airbox, I can put that back together and I can see how it runs then. I think it's gonna be fine. And that's it. I'm gonna call it quits for the day. It's already getting dark out. I think I accomplished more than I wanted to accomplish today. Very happy with the progress. Any comments or questions, put them down below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And like I always say, God bless and ride safe out there. Bye-bye.